That's the voice of Pastor Mike Jr. Fans have dubbed the award-winning recording artist as the new king of urban inspiration. And coming up on this special edition of Studio 5.
Ooh, open up a window. Ooh, open up a window.
We're sitting down for a candid conversation with Pastor Mike Jr. So, you grow up following your dad. You wanted to sing.
I was my dad's praise and worship leader. I even recorded an album in his basement. I printed off 20 copies. He let me stand in front of the church. I went platinum.
It's an amazing journey that had its share of setbacks and frustrations.
I was upset with God, you know, because you got to think about it. I wait like he tells me to wait. 2009, wait 2 years. I wait till 2019. Drop the song. 2020, it goes dark.
His story about being in the right crowd, but in the wrong place.
I'm in the club and I'm on the mic. Hey, throw it up. Throw it up. I mean, everybody rocking. And I clearly heard the Lord say, right crowd, wrong place.
All of this coming up one-on-one with Pastor Mike Jr. He's a stellar award-winning artist, and Pastor Mike Jr. grew up wanting to sing. His father gave him the opportunity, and the story is just one part of an amazing musical journey.
If you hold on just a little while longer, I know he will come through just for you.
So we've known you for the last few years, but you've been doing this a whole lot longer as far as recording.
No, that's the crazy part. People believe, everybody keeps saying, where does he come from?
Mm-hmm.
So in 2009, I started Rock City Church in Birmingham, Alabama. My pastor spoke a word to me that I believe was God. He said, love God, love your family, love your city. And in 10 years, the world will come looking for you. So at 25, it's 10 of us. At 26, our church grows to about 1,500 people. At 27, it's 7,000 or 8,000 people in the arena, and God just kept growing it. In 2019, I'm in church, and I just randomly say, and it's gonna be big. It goes viral. And now you know about me.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
So you grow up following your dad. You wanted to sing.
Yeah, man, I would open for him. I say open, Lord. I would do it, the sermonic selection.
Yes.
I would come up and sing. I was my dad's praise and worship leader. I even recorded an album in his basement. I printed off 20 copies. He let me stand in front of the church. I went platinum. I sold all 20 copies, you know, and so I've always wanted to do music. Funny thing is, when you hear Big, when you hear I Got It, when you hear some of the songs we're doing now, like Winning, these are songs that been in my phone for years, but when God tells you to wait, you have to wait. And I believe there are so many people that are giving the devil credit for killing the dream that patience actually killed. And if you get patience, God will do things in due season.
Wow. Was patience easy for you?
No.
Okay.
No, I was ready to go, man. I never forget, we were in church and I'm preaching and I was like, there's a blessing out there with my name on it. And I went to the studio, recorded it. And I was like, hey, y'all, I'm gonna do this song in the church. It went plastic, you know? So I was like, I'm done with it. I'm not gonna do it. And lo and behold, I thought Big, I Got It. We were gonna drop this for church anniversary. That was it, you know, and a radio promoter came to our church, fell in love with one of my top volunteers. They come to my house for marital counseling. He goes, I can preach a sermon called The Wrong Turn. He says, where's the restroom? I say, go down the hall, make a left. He goes down the hall, makes a right. Says, why you got a studio in your house? I said, well, my therapist asked me, how do I deal with some of my anxiety? So I just record songs. He said, play some. I played I Got It. I said, what else you got? I played Big. And halfway through Big, he stopped and said, if you trust me, your life will never be the same. That's when he told me what he does. And show you how apropos this is, how favor-filled this is. Today, I just found out that my new single, Windows, just broke the Billboard record, most consecutive #1s out the gate. So it's just, all this is just happening. It's head swimming like, God, what are you doing? Yep.
Now you mentioned Windows, charting. Tell me the history behind that song. How long did you have it before we finally get to hear it?
Yeah, so Windows is one of those songs that wasn't even supposed to be a song. Like, I'm done with the album, and Javon Hill, who's the head of the MVP band, he said, I'm gonna sing you something. It's a little different, but I know you're probably the only person who can do it. He said, it feels like Bruno Mars. And when I heard it, I instantly started singing. I called my friend Jaco from the Bahamas. I said, let's write this, man. And so we began to write it. And I think that's the best part. I tell everybody, I don't think I've sat down and necessarily penned a song, just penned it, like intentionally. Big was random in church. I got it. We went into it randomly at Bible study. Amazing. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida.
That's my favorite of all.
I didn't even know I was in concert. We're in Jacksonville, Florida, and I get there. The pastor says, tonight in concert. This is fresh off the pandemic. I look at the guy, I say, I only got 2 songs. He said, well, you got 50 minutes. And literally, once we got done singing Big and I got it, the keyboard player hit a chord. And I said, I remember when. And by the time we woke up that next morning, it was at 500,000 views. The Stellar Awards call and say, perform it. I have to run to the studio, make it a song. Impossible was a song we sung in Bible study. So for me, I'm either the luckiest person in the world or God. My strategy is, God, you tell me what to sing, I'm going to sing it. And so far, he's been blessing me.
Best is yet to come. He's opening up a window, baby.
Pastor Mike Jr.'s I Got Away project is available wherever you purchase, download, or stream your music. We are continuing our conversation with Pastor Mike Jr., including a stop on his I Got Away tour.
You thought you would win, now with him I can't lose.
Welcome back to this special edition of Studio 5. Pastor Mike Jr.'s career started heating up as the world was shutting down in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. So there were naturally some setbacks and some frustration.
All I'm trying to say in my own way, thank you, Lord.
In terms of God doing things that just he has to take credit for, you really came to light in the world during the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's when
it's crazy, right?
when we can't get together, we can't go to a concert, we can't.
And I think one of those things, I think it was God's sovereignty. I was upset with God, because you got to think about it. I wait like he tells me to wait. 2009, wait 2 years. I wait till 2019, drop the song. 2020, it goes dark. Everybody's quarantined. The day Big went #1, I couldn't even celebrate with my family and friends. So you have to understand, I said, God, why are you doing this to me? And I never forget, I heard the Lord in my spirit say, I'm giving you everything you prayed for without the people to praise you for it, to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. And so for me, it wasn't until 2022 maybe that I heard another person sing Big. We were at a concert in Jacksonville, Florida, and I said, I believe, and everybody said, it's my seat. And I literally said in the microphone, oh my God, this is crazy. So the pandemic, I tell everybody, the pandemic had its trials, but there were some bright moments. I got a chance to spend time with my kids. You're moving so fast, you can re-identify who you are. And for me, man, just sitting at home, finding ways to communicate with the world. And by the time we came out the pandemic, everybody was asking, now, who is that again? So it was fun.
Now, your path to be obedient to God comes at a unique point from what I understand. I'm an Alpha.
Okay.
You're a Kappa. Correct?
That's right.
So you're in college, and you're not necessarily being the preacher's kid.
Oh no,
Share.
I'm out there. Hey, I'm outside.
I was wild, living real foul. I just want right.
I pledge Kappa Alpha Psi, and I'm in the club, Oak Tree Lounge. I'm in the club and I'm on the mic. Hey, throw it up. I'm in, everybody rocking, and I clearly heard the Lord say, right crowd, wrong place. So much so that in the microphone, I said, what? Then I heard the Lord say again in my spirit, right crowd, wrong place. I walk out the club. This is a Thursday night. Walk out the club, go to my apartment, sit on the edge of the bed and just cry, because I knew what it was. That next morning, I withdrew from school. When I hear God, there is no delay. It's go. That Thursday night, I hear the Lord. That Friday morning, I drop out of college. I go home. My dad proceeds to punch me in the chest. and say, I'm taking you back to school Monday. He wakes me up that Saturday and says, ride with me so we can talk. We get to his church leadership meeting and half of his leadership splits the church. That Sunday, he has nobody to sing. I lead worship and the rest is history. So for me, my life has always been where God orders steps. And literally today when I got ready to leave home, my dad lives across the street from me. He said, I'm in Alabama. He said, where you headed, bud? I said, I'm headed to Virginia. Yeah. He said, I went to the restaurant last night and they said, you PMJ dad, ain't it? Like, yeah. He said, man, let me eat for free. I said, yeah. He said, I'm so glad you left college. I said, let me get my lick back there.
My life will say, thank you. Yeah. You've done for.
Pastor Mike Jr.'s I Got Away project has more than 65 million global streams, and it sold more than 100,000 digital singles. We caught up with Pastor Mike Jr. in Richmond, Virginia, while on his I Got Away tour alongside Dietrich Haddon, Bree Babineau, and Anthony Brown.
I'm gonna win. You gonna win. Everybody around me winning. Shut.
What's the tour been like, this tour?
To be continued. No, the tour has been an experience. You know, for me, it's reignited my passion for pastoring, in a sense of, I didn't realize how big my church had gotten. You know, so during the pandemic, we started doing something every morning called Devo Energy. 7:21 a.m. Central Standard Time. Whatever I preach on Sunday, we make a 5-day devotion, and my leaders and different members of our church do an online devotion every morning. So 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people every day watch it. So now we're touring, and we have not been to a city yet where there's 500 or 600 people who are members of our church from another state. And so what we do is, I believe in discipleship. So when you join, we do an online new members class. We send free t-shirts to our online members. We're constantly talking with them. So to get to these cities, and if you're here tonight, you'll see it. You'll see all these people, like, that's my pastor right there. And I'm like, whoa, so what city are you in? Or if I say, we created a ministry mantra, we are, the whole church says, Rock City. You know, so now to be in different states and see that, and I think that's what, I had somebody tell me yesterday, they said, I think everybody missing what you actually doing. I was like, what you talking about? He said, you ain't out here selling records or trying to get streams. You're saving lot. He said, you growing your church. I said, I'm out here, because music fades, you know. It'll be a new Pastor Mike Jr. in 2 years, and they'll say, oh, that's the new hot guy in gospel. But if you really penetrate to somebody's heart, and I'm trying to empty hell, that's my mission. So after every concert, I open the doors of the church, and you'll see it tonight, hundreds of people are getting saved. And I believe if we go back to that, everything else will take care of itself.
Love it, I love it. What's next?
That's a good question. What's next for me? Strong, that's my word this year. Strong, you know, strong. I don't want to be a mile long and an inch deep. You know what I'm saying? I think as of today, I think we're close to 5,600 new souls this year at the church. You know, so for me, that number sounds good to say, but how many have been through Pathway to Purpose? How many have been contacted? How many people are growing? How many people are praying, fasting, tithing? So for me, it's strong. And when I say that, we just purchased a new campus in Birmingham, Alabama. So it's like over 100,000 square feet. It was a college. We bought the dorms as well. You know, so we're finna renovate those dorms. So all of my online members, when they want to come to church, they got a place to stay for free that weekend. So I'm trying to reimagine, if Paul didn't have to write a letter, what would he have done? You know what I'm saying? And so I think Paul, number one, if he didn't have to write a letter, he would have got on Instagram Live. But if you take it to another level, he would have made a way for all of them to come to him. And so what I'm trying to do now is reimagine ministry, make sure I open doors for people connected to me. We have a kindergarten through 8th grade that our goal is for that to be high school in the next 3 years. So for me, music is my evangelistic tool to introduce people to Jesus. So like I tell everybody, I'm not trying to have a music career. Music to me is my ticket. You may be Baptist, non-denominational, Kojic, apostolic. When you hear a song you like, that don't matter no more. And so what I'm realizing now is all these denominations meet to hear me sing big. And after we get through ministering, it don't matter no more. So for me, that's how I'm working my way to meet people so I can tell them about a man named Jesus.
I dare you to laugh like the devil's already defeated.
Still to come, Pastor Mike Jr. shares his strong ties to the civil rights movement.
I stand on the shoulders of giants. Dr. Martin Luther King wouldn't move in Birmingham without my grandfather.
Welcome back to this special edition of Studio 5. Pastor Mike Jr.'s rich legacy has strong ties to history, from his grandfather to his uncle.
We got a message for you. Let's go. He performed miracles just like he said he would. Yeah, he performed miracles just like he said he would.
You grew up in Birmingham.
Birmingham,
We think
Alabama.
of Birmingham, we think of civil rights.
Absolutely.
And you got strong ties.
That's absolutely. I stand on the shoulders of giants. Dr. Martin Luther King wouldn't move in Birmingham without my grandfather, Bishop Calvin Woods, who's still alive. My great uncle, Dr. Abraham Woods, who was the president of the SCLC chapter in the state of Alabama. You know, so I grew up listening to stories about Shuttlesworth and Abernathy. And my granddad would make me drive him and Carnal to movement meetings. You know, so here it is. I'm in my early 20s and everybody else going out. I'm in a full 3-piece suit driving them to Montgomery so we can reenact marches and different things like that. But for me, it gave me a sense of pride on what's ours. And so that's why I'm so pro Stellar Wars. You know, that's ours. Mm-hmm. I think so many times as African Americans in our pursuit for success, we deem success things that the world say versus appreciating the things that we have. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I love gospel music. I love our HBCUs. You know, in my city, I do a lot with Miles College. I love helping organizations that find their way that bless people. So that's just who we are, man. Yep.
Nice. Now, your grandfather was there when Martin Luther King was killed?
No. So Dr. Martin Luther King leaves Birmingham. Every time he comes to Birmingham, he wouldn't move without my granddad. Mm-hmm. So my grandfather wasn't with him in Memphis, but every other time he moved, he was with him. So even when I talked to my grandfather about that, you can almost see his eyes water just thinking about the different things they went through. My grandfather was the first person to sit at a Woolworth counter in Birmingham, Alabama. You know, so to see him, he always joked. He was like, "We risked our lives, y'all can't take tweets." You know what I'm saying? He literally sat at a corner and they beat him half to sleep, would follow him home and different things like that. So it's I have a unique sense of pride when it comes to us, because I was raised in a family that would never let us forget it. You know? Yeah.
I love that. One of the things I love about your story that's not true for many of us: an active dad, an active grandfather, you're an active father. And we sit in a world, especially in Black families, where father is also absent.
Absolutely.
What does fatherhood mean to you? What do you?
Fathers are important. Fathers, we come from this beautiful word pater, where we get our American word paternity. If you want to know who this child belongs to, you check the paternity. So you get pater, where we get our American word paternity, where we get another spinoff word pattern. When they want to check your DNA, they try to see if the patterns match. And so for me, grandfather's a bishop, my father's a pastor. The pattern was already set. It was in my DNA. And so when I look at my boys, Xander, Michael, Mason, and Miles, I look at my daughter, McKinley, I try to find ways to let my life set a pattern versus my words set a pattern. You know, I hope one of them preach one day. I can see it on 2 of them. But even if they don't, I'm understanding that your life preaches way more than your message does. You know, so I believe fathers are important. I went through a season of my life where I had to discover, was I doing this for God or doing this for my dad? You know, and I was growing my church. I just wanted him to be so proud, you know? But I think when you father right, the two get mixed. You know, like, cause my first, I love God sometimes based off of how my natural father loved me. I didn't understand my relationship with God right till I had kids. on how patient he is with me, how kind he is with me. My son did something dumb the other day, and I was finna lose it, man. And the Holy Spirit was like, well, you know, you just did something dumb. So I was like, I'm gonna give him grace, God. You give me grace, I'm gonna give him grace. Nice. So I think fatherhood is so important.
You've had at least one son say he wants to do what you do, right?
Yeah, I done had my son Xander. We're at the World Games in Birmingham, Alabama, and 60,000 people there. It's crazy, and it's in Birmingham. I'm the closing performer. They got fireworks going off. It's crazy. I ain't never seen that like it. And so we get done, and he just looking at me, and I'm like, "What's wrong?" He was like, "Yeah, I want to do this." Aww. And for me, I'm like, bro, because you know how it is, man. I can be everything to them sometimes, but they hero. It's hard they go home with Clark Kent. So when the world sees Superman, they see Clark Kent. You know, so for me to try to live a life to where Clark Kent doesn't kill Superman, and the child can say, Dad, I seen you mad, but I also seen you in purpose. I want that. And so I'm excited about that.
Again, you can get Pastor Mike Jr.'s I Got Away project wherever you download, purchase, or stream your listening material. Welcome back. Here in Studio 5, you know music helps us to bring you this show each and every week, and this week's soundtrack comes from none other than Pastor Mike Jr. Take a listen, and you'll hear why Amazing is my favorite tune from him and why it's playing in my ear this week. God is amazing. On that musical note, we are just about out of time for this special edition of Studio 5. So let's take a moment and look ahead for what's on next week's rundown.
I thought this would be our final run ever. We had made millions and millions of dollars, but God had other plans.
The one-time drug dealer turned pastor, along with 2 others, will be executed at 12 midnight local time.
So here we sit talking about this particular role.
Yes,
you
sir.
play Samuel Wilson. What happens when you first read the script?
Tim Shea wrote, produced, and directed this movie. He said it's a true story of these 3 Americans who find each other in an Indonesian prison and been sentenced to death by firing squad. And I want you to play one of these prisoners. So I said, all right, send it to me. I read it, and I wept and wept and wept at the end of it.
I found Christ in here, and he forgave me.
I found Christ too.
Be sure to join us next week for that story and so much more. As for this week's show, we have time for just one more thing. We're going to give the final word to Pastor Mike Jr. You could go back in time and speak to young Mike Jr., a little boy. What would you tell him?
I would tell young Mike, I'm proud of him. You know, I had somebody ask me yesterday, would you change anything? I said, no, I thank God that our family didn't have nothing for real. I thank God my dad, we didn't have a car and we had to drive the church van and people would laugh at us and all the other pastors would pull up in Cadillacs. We get out of the church van, but I would notice they would get out their Cadillac, walk in the building, then they family. My dad would get out the church van, let the step stoop down, hold my mama's hand, pick all of us up. It was those moments that teach me now when we go from city to city, I don't just sing and run out the door. It's like, I want to go hug some people. Let me go talk to, because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So for me, I wouldn't tip him off on anything. I would let him make his mistakes, let him grow, and just tell him, hey, I'm proud of you. Don't spend half of your life seeking affirmation from heroes who you're going to learn to discover are villains.
And that is a great final word for this edition of Studio 5 and this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone around you, and then please come on back. See where Studio 5 takes you next week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. And thank you, Pastor Mike.